Good evening, everybody. This is Vonda Evans, and I've been talking a little bit about dating and being an older woman. And I would put or different ages, etc., etc. But I want to talk about successful relationships for older women. How do I define an older woman? Anything over 30. Let me explain this to you. Many of you all, after we get a certain age, especially as women, we want to tend to believe that, we are just like the men that we are counterparts. One thing my uncle used to say: women get old, men get broke. What does that mean? That means that a man can be 40, 50, 60 and enter a dating pool of women between the ages of 20 to 60 if he chooses. Women cannot do that, okay? And the thing about it is that many women want someone who, as I call them, is a whale. And I've defined a whale as somebody who is successful and they make $100,000 or more. Now, that type of individual is going to have access to women 20, 30, 40, 50, okay? Because everybody wants that kind of man. He drives a nice car. He eats at the finer restaurants. He has nice dressing clothing. His appearance is good. Everyone wants him, okay? Especially if you're a woman in the Black community. Why? Because we know that there is a limit of successful men in that pool, okay? So if the ratio to male female is 5 to 1, it's 25 to 1 with a man who make over 100,000. The issue you have to say is, what is your end game? Huh? What is your end game? Is your end game to be in a successful relationship, or is your end game to be in a relationship with a successful person? Let me say that one more time. What is your end game? Is your end game to be in a successful relationship, or is it to be in a relationship with a successful person? Those are two different criteria. And let's talk about the first one. And I'm going to go on. I'm just going to hit some things, but later on, I want to talk about dating after divorce, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. Here's the situation. As you get older, okay, defining what a successful relationship changes. When you were in high school, you may have thought that a successful relationship was dating somebody who was, tall, handsome, had good potential, etc. When you got to be 30, maybe it was somebody that was tall, handsome, um, and had a good job. In your 40s, it might be breathing and living, okay? Because it changed up a little bit, all right? So the issue then has to be, what is your end game? Now, I would advocate, ladies, if you've had children, okay, you have your business, you got a job, stop trying to go after the successful men. That's a waste of your time, a waste of your energy, and a waste of your emotions. Leave them whales alone. As I said before, a whale loves a young thing. Let me say this to you. When I divorced my ex-husband, he said, I was 40. He said, good, I was going to trade you in for 220s anyway. Men want a younger woman. Why? Because a younger woman signifies success. Like a brand new Mercedes, a 2021 Mercedes 300 look better than Mercedes S550 that's a 2000 or 2010. It's a better car, but a man want a newer look. That's just what they want. And what women get caught up in. Well, I'm educated. They don't care about that. They care about gravity not attacking a woman's body. So a lot of ladies say, listen, I look just like somebody in their 20s, but you're not. See, you're not in the way that you think and the way that you act. When a man date a younger woman, she's not worried about a thing in this world. You know, she's easygoing. She want to have fun. She's not concerned about serious things. It's a different ball game. So if you want to be 40 years old and you want to look like you somebody 20, I don't have a problem with it. But the problem is, once they know that you're older, they're not going to want it. And this is why, because they want a younger woman. Okay. Now, for those are for people who want someone that's successful. But if you want a successful relationship, I'm going to challenge you to do this. Consider the following. What is my end game? Do I want a loving man? Do I want a man that's attentive? Do I want a spiritual man? What is it I want? Stop being hung up on, what do you do for a living? I mean, I remember dating, the first thing I said, well, what do you do for a living? Because I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't want nobody trying to come after me for my status or my title, whatever, or my money. So get away from that. Okay. As long as they're doing something legal, don't get into that. That doesn't matter. The issue is, do they want to be in a successful relationship? Now, what you may think, well, you know, I'm the CEO of a company, or I have my own business, or you know, I work every day, and I got a couple things, I got a couple coins going on. I just don't want to date no regular guy, and that's your problem. That's your problem right there. You want to date super successful, the whale over here. Girl, leave that whale alone, okay? You already a queen. You don't need that. You need a man who wants to be in a relationship. How do you know? Because you ask him. Are you looking for a serious committed relationship? Men are not gonna lie. They gonna tell you, nah, baby, not right now, you know, maybe a little bit later on. And if they tell you they don't want to be in a serious relationship, he just saying that. No, he telling you the truth. Out of his mouth comes the truth. You don't want to believe it because you in denial. Well, he called me all the time, and so what? That don't matter. All it's gonna do is just lead to him continuing to have sex with you, and you not going nowhere. He might show up to some dinners, y'all go out of town, go on some vacations. He doesn't want to commit a relationship. He does not want that, and he's told you that. And you don't want to believe it because you're listening to your heart instead of your mind. If I tell you I don't want salmon, I don't want it. I don't care if you fry it, if you put barbecue sauce. I don't want that. And women, listen to these men. If they say, well, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm really just not into that right now. Then check him off. Now, when you decide I want to have a successful relationship, we talked about sex, and now I want to talk about sex and intimacy. Is there a difference? Absolutely. Intimacy does not require touching. There are several types of intimacy: emotional intimacy, mental intimacy, and intellectual. Let me tell you about emotional. When you, as an older woman, present yourself, I want you to do the following. You got to be on your A game. What do I mean? Your house got to be clean. You got to look good. You got to dress good. You got to keep your hair done. You got to keep your nails done. You got to keep your feet done. I don't care if you got to go somewhere professionally. I don't care about that. Your presentation is everything. Now, when you get with that man, now here's the game, right? You looking beautiful. You got your face made up, you know, you smelling good. That's important. That is very important. Smell. You smelling good, okay? And when you sit down with your male counterpart, I want you to think about doing this, and I want you to do this. I want you to put some lotion on your hands, scented lotion. And I want you to touch that man's hands, not nothing else, okay? Just his hands. And as you're rubbing his hands and caressing his hands with that scent, I want you to ask him, honey, what what is a turn on to you about a woman? What turns you on about a woman? And what turns you off about a woman? Now, many times men don't like to talk, but what you need to do is listen. The most complaints that I hear from my friends who date younger women, he said, older women talk too much. Start listening. Shut up and listen. And that's why I'm not dating, because I love to talk. Stop talking so much. Start doing more listening. And as you caressing this man's hand with your scented lotion, what you're doing is you're listening, you're being vulnerable, and there's contact, okay? Simultaneously. You're caressing his hand, it smells good, you're looking at him, you're talking to him. You want to know what he thinks, how he feels. See, a young girl don't know to do that, baby. Okay? Follow along. This old girl stuff, okay? So you up here looking good. I'm talking about you don't have to be having your girls exposed. Remember, sexuality is not nudity. You can be sexual and have a nice dress on, little cleavage, beautiful little necklace or whatever. And the way that you move, baby, let me tell you something. They know a queen is among them. So as you're sitting there caressing his hand, you take your shoes off and your feet all done. And you say, well, just tell me. Tell me the things that you don't like. What you are doing is giving him permission to tell you how he feels. Now, after you have your conversation, don't judge him. Mental intimacy. Babe, I just want to let you know, yesterday when I was over, it meant everything to me. You shared a lot. And now I think that we're on the right path. You take a little piece of paper, get you one of them little notes. Okay, we got to get some game too. One of them little cards, and say, thank you, V. And you put your nice cologne on it. And you put it somewhere he'll find it the next day. Because what I tell you, the scent is consistent. So here you are when he wake up in the morning to have his coffee and you're not there. And he finds this in the kitchen, or he finds it in his drawer, and it has your smell. And he opens it. And it's just a cute note. Nothing all long drawn and all sexual and stuff like that. Something very simple. What you're doing is mentally, you are being intimate with that man, even if you're not there. What a woman has to master is how to stimulate a man mentally. A young woman is going to stimulate them physically because of their outer body. Gravity has not touched their breasts, their waist, or their behinds, okay? And even if she a big girl, she's a young big girl, and it's a difference between being a young big girl and an in-shape old woman. Don't nobody want nothing old and not no well, so get away from that. My point being to you is that many times these good men who want successful relationships are overlooked. Why? Because they're not the CEO of a business, because they're not a doctor or a lawyer, because they're a regular guy. But they have the potential to have a successful relationship with you, but you overlooking them. Oh, girl, I don't want to be bothering him. He just work at some little piggly wiggly. Girl, I don't want to be bothering. You know what I'm talking about. These men who break their neck to come to see you if you in an event, and you constantly looking over them because you looking at the well. Who is that over there with that verse, with that Benz only? Who is that over there with that me? Girl, leave them people alone. You know what? When you see men like that, they should say, danger, danger. Leave the men alone, okay? Just go on about your business, okay? My point being to you, you want something that is mentally satisfying to you. Okay, you don't want to be on rotation. And you're overlooking men who have potential to be in a successful relationship But what's holding them back is the degree that they have or they don't have, or is the old hoopty. Well, he drive this old hoopty. Okay, but that don't mean anything. Well, he lived in a raggedy house and I live in the suburbs and my house laid out. Get away from material things. What a person drives, what his degree is in or is not in, that is not a prerequisite for happiness. That don't have nothing to do with anything. Get away from that. What you want to know, is this person able to commit, and do they want to commit? And if so, then these are the tools that you want to use. Emotional, you know, and as you over there and you talking to them and, say, baby, let's just, just talk. Cut the game off, have some nice music. Caress his hands and say, what is it that you like about a woman and what is it that you don't? What is your greatest what is your greatest dream in a male female relationship? What's your greatest fear? Let him talk. And as he's expressing himself, you continue to caress his hands with whatever scent that is going to linger, because now what you're doing is you're stimulating him mentally. You're looking beautiful. You're smelling good. It's a sensory experience. You are stimulating by him by what he sees. It's a sensory experience because you're touching his hand and there are no distractions. Now, after you all do that, don't go jump in the bed with him, because don't nobody want nobody easy. I had a wonderful evening. Even if that's what you want, that's not how you go about getting it. Because unfortunately, men are going to are going to say, oh, she easy, she not, and they're going to categorize you. So stop giving away your goodies. Even if you want to, leave that, remember that mental intimacy, leave that little note somewhere, okay? And then there's what we call intellectual intimacy. What is that? The ability to use the same thing and talk about world affairs. So no judgment zone. Have you ever been hurt? What was the thing that you learned from that pain? What is it that how do you think you've grown, baby? What do you think has changed about you since you was 30 to now that you're 50? Tell me, babe, and listen. Let me say this to you. For many of you all that know, I am a retired criminal judge. How is it that many men who are incarcerated, okay, have long-term relationships with women in the community? Why? Because they understand intimacy. They know they can't be with that woman, but they're consistent. They show up on the phone. Hey, babe, how you doing? They're attentive. What's wrong? Are you okay? Your voices sound like you upset. They write them. People, we got away from writing. Every time I get a note at my office or a card, it really means something to me, more so than a text. The text is, I'm over that. But when a person takes that opportunity, and many of these men have been able to have successful relationships with women in the community. Why? Because they understand intimacy. They understand showing up, i.e., being consistent. Well, I know, he gonna call me in the morning. He gonna call me at lunch, and I know at the dinner he gonna call me. Even though you're not there with him, they'll send cards or send letters, and you can take that letter out and read it. And even though that person's not with you, it feels as though they are because of what they've done. Okay. And so these men who are incarcerated, okay, sometimes for life, okay, they be pulling women and they be pulling bad women. Why? Because they understand intimacy. You believe intimacy is sexual. It's not. That is a form of it. But we're not talking about physical intimacy. We're talking about emotional, mental, and intellectual intimacy. You have an upper hand because most young women don't understand that. They understand having a bad body and having that walk, but it's going to only go so far. Because as a man gets older, he becomes more of a thinker. He's thinking a lot. So you got to be consistent. You don't got to be bugging them all the time. You know, just text you, good morning, baby. Just want to let you know you on my mind. That's it. Have a great day. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Drop a note by, send a little letter, a little card. As I said, limit the time that you're with him when you can ask these questions and you smelling good. You're going to give him something to think about, and you're going to be on his mind. You are going to be on his mind. Why? Because as I told you, a man's biggest sex organ is his mind. It's not his manhood. It is not his manhood. It is his mind. And as a result, once you learn to master these techniques, you will be more successful in having a successful relationship. But if you are hell bent on being with a man that's successful, honey, my hat's off to you. Okay. Listen, okay, because that's a whole nother animal. That's a whale. Normally he gonna want a young woman. He's too busy chasing that money to have anything meaningful. Stop throwing your pearls after swine and start looking at men who are interested in you. Stop asking, what do you do for a living? How much money do you make? Do you own your home? Stop doing that. Obviously, we want someone who is self-sufficient. I'm not saying somebody that maybe, living in their mama basement, they don't have no job now. You don't want to do all that. That's a little bit too much. But if this man has, say for instance, I'm a lawyer. This man may work at a factory. That don't make him less of a man than somebody who is a CEO of a company. It does not. Okay? He gonna treat you better. Why? Because he's going to honor who you are and what you do. Whereas to that whale, he gonna be like, you want a mini. Okay, this is my judge. This is my judge, boo. Okay, this is my strip club boo. This is my factory boo. He don't care about that. You just on rotation. So let that go. Remember, define your end game. Is it to be in a successful relationship, or is it to date a successful man? It's a big difference. Utilize the tips of emotional, mental, and intellectual intimacy by mastering those things. Be consistent, send notes, take advantage of sensory opportunities, looking beautiful, smelling good, touching him with your hands. If you able to do this, you're going to get you a relationship. But the limitations that you have are what you do for a living, where you work, how much money you got in the bank. Let that go. And if you stop doing that, you'll look up and you'll be in a successful relationship that actually is going to work. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.